In the previous verses, the Buddha showed us the contrast between grief and joy, the sorrow of wrongdoing and the gladness of wholesome action. Verse 16 revealed the happiness of a clear conscience. Now, in verse 17, the Buddha deepens the teaching. He does not speak merely of regret, but of suffering that intensifies when actions are rooted in unwholesome intention. This verse reminds us that actions are not isolated moments, they carry momentum. Where verse 15 spoke of grief, verse 17 speaks of burning, an inner suffering that arises from the recognition of wrongdoing and continues beyond this life.
Ida tappati, pecca tappati, papakari ubayatta tappati, papang me katanti tappati, biyo tappati dukkatingato.
A person who commits harmful actions suffers now and will suffer later. When they reflect on their wrongdoing, they feel regret, and the consequences continue to unfold beyond this life. The Buddha says that the wrongdoer suffers here and suffers hereafter. The word tapati carries the meaning of burning, of being tormented inwardly. This suffering begins in the present. When a person acts out of greed, hatred, or delusion, the mind is disturbed. Even if no one else knows, the heart knows. Conscience speaks quietly, and inner agitation follows. The verse says, thinking, "I have done evil," he suffers. This reflection itself becomes painful. Memory returns. The mind replays the action. Regret grows. This is not punishment imposed by an external authority. It is the natural unfolding of cause and effect. Unwholesome actions disturb the mind because they are rooted in defilement. The Buddha then speaks of suffering beyond this life. According to the law of kamma, intentional actions bear fruit. When those actions are harmful, their results follow accordingly. The suffering intensifies when one moves toward an unfortunate state of existence. This verse is not meant to frighten but to awaken responsibility. It reminds us that actions matter deeply. Each intention plants a seed. Some seeds bring joy, others bring sorrow. When we act without mindfulness, driven by anger or selfishness, we create conditions for future suffering. But when we pause, reflect, and act wisely, we avoid planting painful seeds. The Buddha's teaching is compassionate. He is not condemning the wrongdoer, he is explaining the law of reality. Just as fire burns by its nature, unwholesome action burns the heart. This verse invites us to examine our lives honestly. Are there actions we carry with regret? Are there intentions we know were unskillful? Awareness of this law gives us freedom. We can choose differently. We can purify the mind. We can avoid future suffering by cultivating virtue now. In this way, the teaching is not heavy, it is empowering. The future is shaped by present intention. Verse 17 reminds us that unwholesome actions bring suffering, here and beyond. The mind burns with regret when it recognizes harm done. But this teaching is also a gift. It shows us that suffering has a cause, and what has a cause can be prevented. In the next verse, the Buddha will once again reveal the opposite. The joy and radiance that arise from wholesome action and wise intention. If these reflections support your understanding of the Dhamma, you are warmly welcome to subscribe and continue this journey, one verse at a time.